What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. Today it is time for the Premier League predictions week 18-19 part 2. Basically the fixtures that we couldn't do in the previous videos, we're doing them today. I want to give a massive shout out to Zachariah Ahmed, who left their predictions on the previous video, and they were one of the only people that I could see that predicted that both West Brom and Brighton wouldn't lose their fixtures. They didn't go as far to predict West Brom and Brighton to win, both of which were very shocking results to me, but I thought that deserved a shout out in this week's video because those were certainly some of the biggest upsets of the Premier League week. I also want to give a massive shout out to all of you for the support and to OneFootball for sponsoring this video. If you don't know what OneFootball is, I've seen loads of comments from you guys saying you're enjoying the app. Basically, it is a free app available on iOS and Android, and it's got everything that you could possibly want when it comes to football, whether that's injury updates, transfer news, which is obviously a very hot topic right now, live scores, different leagues, everything you need regarding football is on that app, and you can tailor it to suit your own experience by favoriting your favorite teams and leagues and everything like that. So definitely go and check out OneFootball using the link in the description, and it does also help me and keep these videos going. So massive shout out to OneFootball for sponsoring the Premier League predictions and keeping this channel running. Also, if you guys want to get your comment featured in the next episode of the Premier League predictions, then drop your predictions down in the comments below. I do have 6 fixtures for you today. The Leeds Southampton fixture has been postponed, and obviously I'm uploading this and recording this obviously before the Arsenal Newcastle game is played. I did put a spicy tip of draw halftime, Arsenal full-time in there at 4.0 odds, which I think is pretty cool. If we take a little look back at our previous week of predictions, there were quite a lot of upsets, it does have to be said, but there were some decent ones in there, predicting Leicester to win, Man City to win 2-0, West Ham to beat Burnley 1-0, so there were some decent picks, but there were of course some upsets in there. Obviously West Brom beating Wolverhampton Wanderers 3-2 was probably the biggest one, and then Brighton beating Leeds after that in a low-scoring game was a pretty big upset as well. But kicking off with this week, we do have West Ham up against West Brom, and all of a sudden with this result against Wolves, West Brom, it's a very, very hard result to call. I still think West Ham at home are going to win this game. They've just beaten a very resolute Burnley side at the London Stadium. I'm going to predict them to beat West Brom in this fixture. I sort of have 2 tips, and they're both exactly the same in value, so I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to West Ham, and both valued at 1.95. The tip could either be both teams to score, or alternatively, if you think perhaps it's more likely that West Ham gets, say, a 2-0 win, you could say West Ham win and over 1.5 goals, both of which are 1.95. If it does end 2-1 to West Ham, then both of those do come in, so you can pick and choose which one you would like to use. Now, next up, it is one of the biggest games, probably the biggest game of this week for sure. It is Leicester up against Chelsea. Now, Chelsea are in a little bit of an iffy run of form. They've really, in the last few weeks, fallen out of the conversation for the title, most definitely, but potentially even top 4 with the likes of Leicester, Everton, and everyone else doing so well. Chelsea are really starting to fall down the table a little bit, and I think Leicester are gonna really go for this game. I'm gonna give. I feel like I'm leaning towards a Leicester win. I'm not going to give them a win because it's very difficult to write off Chelsea even in a game like this against a team like Leicester, because Leicester have really good away form, so obviously their home form isn't quite as good, but Chelsea's away form has not been very good recently, so I think that edges me towards Leicester. I am going to sit on the fence and go for a 1-1 draw, but my tip is going to be Leicester double chance and both teams to score at 2.37, so, you know, a 1-1, 2-1 to Leicester, something like that. Obviously, if you wanted to play it safe, you could go Leicester double chance at approximately 1.5. I'd say that's also a good shout because Chelsea are the bookies' slight favourites to actually win this game. If you're feeling brave, you could chuck Leicester to win in there at 2.87, but I'm going to go for 1-1, Leicester double chance, and both teams to score. Now, the next fixture, it is Manchester City up against Aston Villa. Man City are on red-hot form. They look like if they do win this game in hand, they will go top of the league, and they really do look like the favourites for winning the league. Now, I was tempted to say Manchester City to win 2-0 again because that was a very high value tip in the last week that we predicted, but that was against Crystal Palace, and whilst Manchester City's defence has been very, very good lately, Aston Villa have shown promising signs going forward in the attacking department. So I wasn't confident enough to put Manchester City to win 2-0 due to Aston Villa's attack. So I've gone for a 3-0 scoreline prediction to Manchester City. I think they will win convincingly, but in case Aston Villa do get that goal, obviously then I'd hope that Manchester City win 3-1 at least, because my tip is going to be Manchester City -1 handicap at 1.66. So they have to win by 2 or more goals, perhaps a 2-0, but if Aston Villa do score, they would need to score at least 3 goals. But Man City have been looking very, very good. good. Maybe it'll even be 2-0, but I'm going for 3-0 to Manchester City in this fixture. Now, next up, it is Fulham up against Manchester United. Man United, obviously, against Liverpool at Anfield, they had the smaller amount of possession by quite a large amount, which is to be expected. Liverpool had the most of the shots, but in terms of clear-cut chances, Man United fans will probably feel like they could have won that game. It was really always going to be so closely poised and so well balanced, and it did end up a draw as we predicted in the previous game week. Fulham, it's very difficult to predict. They went down to 10 men against Chelsea and then couldn't hold on for the entire game and lost 1-0. So not a terrible performance under the circumstances. Perhaps if it was 11v11, it could have been different. You don't even know. I think Fulham at Craven Cottage are going to score a goal against this Manchester United side, but I do see Man United winning the game. Perhaps it could be the classic Man United performance where for a lot of times this season they've gone behind in the fixture and then come from behind to actually win in the end. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Manchester United, but in case Fulham don't score and it's a regulation 2-0 win, because that was one of my initial feelings about this game, my tip is going to be Manchester United win and over 1.5 goals at 1.83. I think those odds are very, very good for a team like Manchester United to beat a team like Fulham, and that's no disrespect to Fulham, they're certainly improving, but Man United are definitely much better than Fulham. Now next up it is Liverpool up against Burnley. Liverpool getting a 0-0 draw with Manchester United, and Burnley losing 1-0 to West Ham as predicted. It's going to be quite low scoring, I think, but Liverpool should most definitely at Anfield have the quality to beat this Burnley side. Either Burnley will sit back and try and defend and it will be a low scoring win to Liverpool, or Burnley will try and go for it and Liverpool will get them on the break, and I still think Liverpool should have a good enough defence, even with the absentees, to keep a clean sheet. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Liverpool. I don't see Burnley going for it too hard at Anfield, leaving themselves exposed at the back to a Liverpool counter-attack of any sort of Burnley press that is created. I do see Burnley sitting back and maybe trying to nick a late goal, but I think Liverpool will have the quality to win. So I'm going for the 2-0 win to Liverpool, and my tip is going to be Liverpool to win to 0 at 1.8. Now the final fixture, it is Aston Villa up against Newcastle. I couldn't get odds for this game because it wasn't on the bookmaker site that I looked at, but it is definitely going ahead, at least based on the Premier League fixture website, and when you Google the Premier League fixtures, Aston Villa versus Newcastle is there, so I'm going to predict it as if it was going ahead anyway, whereas the Aston Villa-Everton game, it was of course postponed. Newcastle, I don't know their result against Arsenal, and obviously Aston Villa, their fixture was postponed, so this is a real stab in the dark because that game is played in 5 days' time, but I'm going to go for an Aston Villa home win because Newcastle haven't been looking particularly great lately, and Aston Villa, overall, I would say, are a more promising outfit than Newcastle at the moment, so I'm going to go for a 2-1 home win to Aston Villa, and my tip is simply going to be Aston Villa to win. The odds for that, I'm not entirely sure, but that is going to do it for my final predictions for the double game week that we've been having. If you did enjoy it, please do, as always, drop a like on the video, drop your comments down below, and thank you also once again for 15,000 subscribers. It's been a crazy time on this channel, and I really am enjoying it. Massive shout out to OneFootball for sponsoring this video and keeping things going, and like I said, leave a like, subscribe so you don't miss any future videos, and I will see you in the next video very soon.